Hey there, thanks for joining me to color. Today we're going to be working on this adorable Magnolia image called Tilda with Big Bouquet. Isn't she cute? I made mine into a Christmas card, but you could totally use this as any type of winter themed card just by coloring your hat a different color. And then I didn't put a sentiment on the front, so you can go ahead and add your own sentiment, or I added some new My Favorite Things Christmas sentiments to the store this week. So if you head to the Just Added section of the store, you can find all of those. They would be perfect, and some of them are larger, so you could put them on the inside of your card if you'd like to do that. I will put a link to the card kit and all the supplies I used down in the description box. I'd love to have you come shopping with me. So I have already stamped my image on Neenah 80-pound Solar White cardstock with Memento Tuxedo Black ink. So let's color. Okay, so let's start out by giving our image a quick outline. For that, I'm going to use C0. I'm just going to start down here at the bottom of her foot and work my way around to the other side. And I like to do the outline first. So in case I get some on my girl, I have the option of using my colorless blender to erase it. Usually I don't bother taking it off if I get it onto any of my parts that I'm going to be coloring, because it's so light when it dries that it's not going to make that big of a difference. But if it bothers you, go ahead and just take your colorless blender and erase it if you get some on her. And I like to do the outlining first too, that way if I do have to erase it, I don't have to worry about erasing any of my other colors because I'm kind of messy. Here, there's a little spot in between. And then when I get up here into the flowers, I'm just going to kind of dip in between some of these because we're going to color in between their green. So I don't need to go all the way down in between all of the flowers. I'm just going to kind of go up here. Go around this one, it's kind of sticking up there a ways. And maybe go around this big one. And just work my way around here to the other side. And if I find later that I wanted to add some more after I've colored my flowers, I can always go back and fill it in. And let's go ahead and go around this little swirly cue. And work our way back down to the girl's shoe. Like that. Now let's give her something to stand on. For that, we're going to use E50, E42, and W0. I'm going to start with my E50, and let's just add a little bit of color here. And bring it down as far as you want. I'm going to grab E42 next, and I want to add some shadows in here. And I can bring this side down just a little bit and come up above her shoe, just a tad more on that side. And then I'm going to take my W0 and go over both of those colors. Make it look a little bit more dirty. And then I'm going to go back with my E42 and just add some more of that shadow back in just a little bit. Let's do our skin next. For that, we're going to use E53, E51, and E50. And then for our cheeks, we're going to use R43, R20, and R30. And this is just a skin tone I tried here lately, and I really liked it. If you don't like this one, you can always use one of the other ones, and those can be found over at the store blog under Copic skin tones over on the labels on the left-hand side. There's quite a few different ones there you can try, or just use one of the regular ones that we've been using. So I'm going to start with my E53, and let's start here with her hand. And I'm just going to flick a little bit of color on there, and I'm going to do the same thing underneath the flowers. And then I'm going to add E51. And I always touch down on top of my last color with my pen. And then just flick out into my white space. And then we want to fill it in with our E50. With this one, I like to go clear across her entire hand. It's got a little bit of a yellow tone, so I want to add that to the rest of her skin there. Okay, then we're going to go up here and we're going to do her face. So I'm going to turn my girl hair a little bit, and I'm going to start with E53, and she's got a little bit of her neck showing right here. I'm just going to go ahead and color that in. And then with my E53, I'm going to go here along her face, on this side that's tipped down. And I did color right over that hair. I don't care. I will erase it later if I feel like it. And then next is E51. And then E50 over to the other side. Okay, and then we want to add a little bit of cheek color, so let's start with R43. And let's do, I try to stay kind of, I keep the little dots that the artist put here for us already as kind of my guide. And next I'm going to grab R20. And I want to brush over the edges. And then R30 to soften it even further. Okay, now I'm going to turn her hair again. I'm going to take my E53. Let's add a little bit more over here on this side. And then we'll go with E51. And then go across the entire thing with our E50. And I'm liking how pink her cheeks are, so I'm going to leave her like that. Now let's work on her hair. For that we're going to use Y35, YR20, Y21, and E50. I'm going to start with my Y35. And let's go ahead and just start over here on this side. And I'm just going to randomly go across her bangs where her hat is touching her hair and do some streaks. And let's get this little section here that's kind of behind. And then here's a ponytail that's sticking out. Okay, I like how that looks. So now I'm going to switch to YR20. Add some more color. And next is Y21. And I try to keep my strands going in the direction that the artist has the hair growing. So if it's curling around, my hand is curling around with it. And next I'm going to take E50. And then I'm liking how that looks, so I'm going to leave it just like that. Let's do our pants next. For that, we're going to use BG 53, 23, 11, and 10. I'm going to start with my BG 53. And I'm going to add a little bit of color here to a couple of these little swoops. And then I want to bring this color down here and around all of this stuff. Accent those pants a little bit there. And then she's got a couple little spaces in here on her pants where the flower stems are coming through the back. I'm going to turn this a little bit, and then I want to flick this out here away from that edge, just a tiny bit. And then I want the inside seam of her pants. And there's some great dots there already for us, so I'm just going to follow those. Next I'm going to grab BG 23. And I want to go right over the top of that last color and go past just a little bit. This will add the green into there, over the top of that bright blue. And then we want to go with BG 11. BG10 to fill it in. Go down the side here. I'm going to brush across the whole thing. I think I'll go back again with my BG23. And I'm going to bring that color, put a little bit more color on so that I can brush it a little bit better with my BG11. I'm going to take my BG11. And then my BG10 across the whole thing to smooth it out. For our boots, let's use E47, 44, 43, and 42. I'm going to start with my 47. I'm just going to do a small dash of line, a little bit down the side here, and I'm going to pull in here on that line. Same for this side. Let's do a little line right down the side, and then exaggerate the sole a little bit. I'm actually going to exaggerate this wrinkle right here just a little bit too. And then I want to go over the top of this. And for this side, let's go down the inside, exaggerate some of those wrinkles a little bit, bring the sole in, and then over here we're going to do the top of the boot and bring this line in. Oh, and I don't want to do that over the top of that line right here. Next we're going to go with E44, touch down on top of your last color, and I just want to dab it a little bit and bring the color in just a tiny bit, not too much. I'm going to add a little bit of this down here on the sole, exaggerate that line at the bottom a little bit more. And same for over here. Curve this around a little bit, and then do this little section. Next is E43. Let's go ahead and fill in the top of this boot and the top of this one. And then we just want to continue by adding a little bit more color. And make sure to do a little bit on the bottom there on the sole. Bring that around a little bit more. Next is E42. I'm going to go ahead and fill in along the bottom of the sole, make sure it's all the way across, and then we want to add a little bit of this to the center. And I want to fill it in with my E41. And I want to brush clear across the boot. I think that's looking a little too blotchy, so I'm going to go back with my E43. And I'm going to brush a little bit more color on here to get it wet. And then E42. And then my E41 to go over the entire front again. For her shirt, let's use E51, E50, and her colorless blender. I'm going to start with my E51. And let's add a little bit of shadows over here on this opposite arm. And then on her collar of her shirt. Bring that over here. And then we got our sleeve here. So let's go ahead for our sleeve. Make a little bit of definition in there. A little bit of wrinkle right here. And I'm using the artist's dots that she already put on there as shadows for us. Next I'm going to go with E50. And I just want to soften that edge of that line. I'm not going to fill it all the way in. So if you've got some white left, that's okay. And then I'm going to take my colorless blender and just swirl over the entire shirt. Just kind of scrub those two colors together and soften them. Now let's do the paper wrapper on her flowers. For that we're going to use V20, Bead 000 and our colorless blender. I'm going to start with the V20 and add some shadows in here. So let's go right around the edge of the bottom of the package and use some of those dips that are already there. And let's go under her arm. And again, there's some lines and dips there that I'm already using. And then let's go up here. Let's bring some of these colors or these wrinkles down here onto her arm. And add a little shadow there underneath on the top of her sleeve for her the sleeves touching the paper. Next I'm going to go with B 000. And I'm going to go right over the top of that V20. And we're going to exaggerate those lines. And same down here. And I think I'll do a little bit here along the edge of the package. And then I'm going to take my colorless blender and I'm just going to swirl around over those lines. Soften the edges a little bit. And then I'm going to leave it with all that white space in there. Let's work on the leaves and the flower stems next. For that we're going to use G46, YG45, and YG41. I'm going to start with my G46 and I'm just going to go underneath the package and add some shadows to the stems. And there are a couple there that are behind, so make sure to get those. Here's one that's down below, and here's a little one poking out. Next we'll go with YG45. We just want to brush right over the top of the last color and pull that color down and into your white space. And then next is YG41 to fill it in. And I tend to go with the last color to go over the entire stem. I'm just sweeping it from the bottom or from the top to the bottom, trying not to go out of the lines. And then I think I'll go back with my YG46, or sorry, my G46, and just add a little bit of shadow in up here at the top. It's looking a little, it needs a little bit more dark in there. Okay, and then I also have a couple of leaves up here that I use this on, so I'm going to start again with my G46. And like here's this great big swirly leaf right here. I'm going to use that to go right along that line that's already there. And then I'm going to go along the bottom. And then over here, there's this big swirly leaf over here. I'm going to use the same thing. I'm going to take my G46 and go right along the edge. And I think I'll actually color this little leaf that's got the little lines on it too. Then we're going to grab YG45. Let's go a little bit on top. And if your YG45 is one you don't use very much, mine's pretty wet. So make sure that you pull off the other end so it doesn't blob onto your paper. I don't use it very much, so it seems very damp. And this is YG41. Same for this one. My pen seems really wet, so if yours is fairly new or you don't use it very much, make sure to pull both caps off so it doesn't make a big mess on your paper. And then this one over here. And I think I'll go back and add a little bit more on this leaf over here, some YG45. make it a little bit greener, and then go over that with my YG41. Let's add some green to this flower bouquet. For that, we're going to use G00 YG41 in our colorless blender. I'm going to start with my G00. And inside here, there's some like little cross hatches in here. So I'm just going to go ahead and find those and color right over the top. Or if you think it's in a dark spot, go ahead and color that in. But here's a few little of those cross hatches. And just dot it in here. And I wasn't really concerned if I went over a few of these little flowers because we're going to color them in. And I went up here and over the top. Okay, and then I'm going to take my YG41 and I want to add some more color, so let's just go up here. And I try to fill in some of those white spaces. And let's add a little bit in here. And if I don't get all the space covered, that's okay. I'm just trying to add some color in here. Okay, I'm liking that. I'm going to take my colorless blender and I'm just going to swirl over that green that I just put down, all those greens. I'm going to try not to go over my leaves too much. I don't want to mess those up, or my paper. I just swirl around in here and blend those colors together a little bit more. And then I left it like that. Now let's work on some of these flowers up here. And on your instructions, I put a few colors together with a dash line in between. And the dash line is to divide the colors I used on the different flowers. But you get to pick what flowers you want to be whatever color you want. I'm going to start with B01 and B000 and work on some blue flowers. So let's go ahead and give some of these some blue, and maybe these little bluebells over here. And here's some bluebell. And let's see, was there some over here? Let's go ahead and do this one over here. That one looks pretty. Okay, and then I'm going to go with B000 to fill it in. So I'm just going to touch, dab, dab, dab. They're pretty small flowers, so I'm going to just dab, dab, dab on top of my last color. Fill it in a little bit more. And then for the next colors, we're going to use V22 and V20 for some purple flowers. So let's go ahead and make this one purple. And how about some of these little dauby ones here that are pretty small? I'm just going to daub my pen up and down on top of those and make them purple. Like that. And let's see here. And then I'm going to fill those in with V20. And if I miss some, I can make some others that I missed, this lighter purple. Or if I have some more space on some of these bigger ones, I can fill those in. For our next set of flowers, let's make those yellow. So for that, we're going to use Y35 and Y11. And I'm going to pick these little daisy ones here. So I'm going to start with Y35. I'm just going to flick around that center section. And here's another little daisy one over here. And then I'm going to take Y11 and just go over the entire flower. Even the center. Okay, for our next flowers, we're going to make them pink. So we're going to use R22, R02, and R00. And I'm going to start with my R22. Let's do this cute one down here. And let's do this one that looks like a daisy up here. I'm going to grab R02 next. and then my R double zero to just brush over the top. Let's make the rest of the flowers have a little bit more red to them. So for that, we're going to use R05, R22, R02, and R double zero. I'm going to start with my R05. Let's just go in here and swirl in the middle of this one. Swirl my pen around. How about this one right here? And let's see, these are all going to be dark red up here, so I'm going to leave those. So let's grab R22. Or swirl right over the top of that last color. Next is R02. Again, just going to swirl over the top of those last two colors. Add a little bit more. And then I want to go over the whole thing with my R double zero. And I see I forgot a couple of leaves, so I've grabbed G46, YG45, and YG41 again. And here's, I'm going to make this a leaf. And this is, whoops, wrong one. Let's grab G46 first. It's the darkest. Put that in there, and then here's a couple of little leaves over here. And then we'll go with YG45. And then YG41. So that leaves us with the red. For that, we're going to use R39, 29, 17, 5, and 22. And I left it for last because I was afraid I would stick my hand in it, and then I guess, I don't know what happens. I just tend to get it everywhere. So I'm going to do with my R39 first, and let's work on these flowers since they're the farthest away from where my hand is. And we'll do it right here. And here's one I colored pink last time, but since I didn't already put those away, we're going to make it red this time. And how about this one right here? And the center one. Then I'm going to grab R29, and I want to go ahead and go over that, the last color, the R39, just to add a little bit more red on there. And then R17. Bring this one up a little bit further. R05 is next. Leave a little bit of space there for my last color. I'm going to go ahead and fill this little one in. And if you've already filled it in, that's great. And then let's do a little bit more on this one. And then R22 to go over the entire flower. This will help me blend these other colors all together nicely. Like that. And this little flower up here looks like I forgot to do the center, so I'm going to go ahead and take my R22 and just fill that in so it's not a big blank space. Then let's go work on our girl's hat and her hair bows. So I'm going to grab R39. Let's start down here at our little hair bow. Do her hair bow that covers her hair up, and then I'm going to give the center a little flick. And then I'll go to R29, and again go right over the top of that R39. Just add a little bit longer, a little bit more streaks, but I want to completely cover the R39. And this is R17. R05. Not much room left on that one. And then R22 to go over the entire thing. And we'll go up here and we'll do her hat. So again, I'm going to grab R39. I'm going to turn my girl so I can flick a little bit better. Let's flick like this on this corner. And then over here on this side, let's bring this up and exaggerate some of these lines. I'm also going to use this on the bow, so let's add a little bit to each of these little bow sections. And then this is R29, and I want to go over that R39, cover it up, and then go a little bit past, so I have a little bit of this new red color. Be careful on that bow, it's really small. R17. R05. Try to leave a little bit more white in there. I'm going to finish in this bow. And then I take my R22 and go over her entire hat. So there is our beautiful Tilda with a big bouquet all colored up. Isn't she cute? And again, here is the finished card. So on my card, I have added some Sharpie white paint pen to her cheeks. To the hat, I added some dots. To the bows, I added a few dots. And then on some of the bigger flowers, I added some little white dots on there. And then I also did my Stickles Stardust to all these flowers. I added a bunch of that in between here. And I used my Spica glitter pen, of course, on her hair to add some glitter in there. But that's her. Isn't she cute? So I hope you had fun coloring with me today. If you liked the video, hit the like button. That would be awesome. And if you're not a subscriber yet, go ahead and do that so you'll get an update every time I put a new video in. And if you leave me a comment, I will get back to you on any questions you may have. Otherwise, we'll see you next time. Have a great day.